Welcome again, and thank you for stopping by, and thank you for joining me. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and also if you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button. Okay, what are we gonna be discussing today? Today, we're gonna be having a look at sports, or should I say football in particular, and politics. Over the last few years, football has become politicized. I will go back with some little background, and also now we'll finish it off at the current FIFA World Cup taking place in Qatar. Okay, until recently, it was generally the practice that sport is separated from politics. However, since about 2016, about um, 6 years ago, the World Football Governing Body started being a little bit loose with the interpretation of politics in sport or in football. And I remember actually quite clearly in 2016 when there was an issue with the Popil appeal logo or Popil that we all buy in Britain. I do support Popil also. We have the white one and the red one, but I think now we got mostly the red poppies, which is to remember the victims or the fallen soldiers of the First and Second World War. And most of the United Kingdom football teams, that is Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, had on their T-shirt the poppy logo. And I think there was a bit of confrontation with FIFA at the time. And from there on, the 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 FIFA governing body started to have it became more of an open, subjective interpretation of politics in football. And also, we have the issue with the death of George Floyd in the United States, which led to the lot of protests about Black Lives Matters, and people were like raising the face and kneel down on the field, and so on and so forth. Don't get me wrong; I'm not against any of these um, gestures or issues. The popular appeal, I've got people in within where I've got family members that were in the United Kingdom Armed Forces, and I do have well, as a black person also. I cannot say I'm against the idea, but at the same time, there should be limit with all sort of protests. Actually, all life matters. Yes, my life matters. So are the life of other people also. It doesn't matter whether you're brown, black, or white. Every life matters. Every life should be treated as being equal and should all matter. And then we started to see more and more political stance on the football field, and this was supported by the football teams and the football federations. And but however, it was only until after this, I wouldn't say only, but became more pronounced after the Russian entry into the Ukrainian civil war or conflict that has begun on for the past since 20, well, for about 8 years anyway, apparently. That we now see an apparent stance in with political ideology. And I remember I saw an Egyptian guy that won, I can't remember, a sporting event, and he made a statement in support of the Palestinian struggle. And he said he always support this idea, but due to the fact that they, that is the sport people, were not allowed to make political statements, he couldn't express his support for the Palestinian struggle. But he said now that people are allowed to express their support for the Ukrainian struggle, he felt he should also be allowed to express his support for Palestinian struggle. So we started to see more and more stance or demonstration of political ideology in sports. And there was also, since the more or less for the past few years, since Qatar has been awarded this to host the World Cup, there's been some countries that were um, started to wear slogans on their T-shirts. The separation between football and politics started becoming getting blurred. Previously, people would have fined or disciplined the teams, but then they did nothing because, to some extent, the current FIFA president is an European, so he's bound to have the European side of the views of the world ideology. I'm not saying 100%, but he will eventually cave into that. And even though this was contrary to Law 4 of the laws of the game, and within the disciplinary and ethics codes, any expression of political ideology or support for political um, statement or issues were often referred to people were disciplined. And there was I also remember in 2013, there was a Croatian footballer that was banned for 10 matches, and he actually ended up missing the World Cup the following year. Um, for actually, that was for shouting words that were apparently used by um, Croatian fighters during the Second World War, which is deemed to be fascist. And there was also a situation whereby Argentinian football team was also fined for standing behind a flag that reads the Falkland Islands are Argentine. Okay, so you can now see there's been a previous demonstration of political ideology that were often overlooked by the FIFA governing body, and most of these countries were often European countries, apart from Argentina. You know, in fact, when I say we're often European countries, even the issue with Argentina and being dismissed was because it was more or less against the British side or the English side. Well, actually, the British side, because the Argentine and the British fought the Falkland War, which was won by Britain. I very much doubt if it was the other way around, it would have been. So, um, this current World Cup, there's been a lot of politics being played, and it looks like the people that are actually more or less at the lead or leading this kind of charge about the about that the World Cup should be boycotted were more or less European countries, and these countries that are actually these countries also were decided that they will be wearing, most of the European countries said they will be wearing um, um, some kind of logos on their captains on the captain's armband. They will have colors or logos that demonstrate or that are in support of discrimination, and also in support of the LGBT. To start with, these same countries that are saying that they want to wear something on their captain's arms band or whatever, or even in case of England, to wear some logos on their t-shirts in contravention of the FIFA rules and saying that, well, we know we're gonna be fined. Yeah, we pay the fine, we don't mind. Okay, these same countries, these same countries. A few weeks ago, there was a United Nations General Assembly vote on racism, xenophobia, NSCI, fascism, fascism, fascist, fascism, and discrimination. They voted against that resolution at the United Nations, and they were, they seem to have the high moral ground, or they are now claiming to be the mothers and fathers of international morality, as if in their own countries there are no issues with discrimination or racism. But what I've noticed is whenever any countries outside of Europe or in the Western or Canada or those countries are hosting any event, they are never good enough. No other country is allowed to be good enough. They seem to be, oh, we are the only one that are infallible. We don't have mistake. We are perfect. Anyone else is not good enough. Same issues were raised when South Africa was hosting the World Cup. There were issues. Oh, South Africa, this crime, and how many people died? Don't go there because you might be killed. You know. Same with the last World Cup in Russia. People were being discouraged not to go to Russia because it's a dictatorship and so on and so forth. No other part of the world seems to be good enough. And in the word of one of the European leaders, um, Europe is meant to be the garden, and the rest of the world apparently is a jungle. That shows you how they see themselves. This feeling of superiority, being superior to other races and other groups, other countries, is beyond belief. And what normally most of these European countries always say is that our way of life, we have values. As if no other countries has got values. My question is this: should the World Cup, just imagine the World Cup is in France or Netherlands or even Denmark, and people are coming from the Islamic world, they want to wear their hijab. These same very countries that instead another country not to do things the way they should according to their own culture and values, we're telling you no, you're not allowed to wear hijab, you're not allowed to do this, this is our country, this is how we do it here in France. They like to export their own cultures and impose their cultures on other countries. But they will never allow other countries to bring their own culture into them, even just for something like as even whether it is World Cup or not. They'll be against it. No, 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 no. Because why? They are superior. And this is the modern definition of racism. It's no longer about just the color. It's about my culture is better than your culture. That is what this is all about. And now, even though I also, to some extent, blame the current FIFA president for the politicization of FIFA, he stated yesterday that this country that are complaining about rights forgets that even in their country are they saying they live in a perfect world. He said, no, you also have the same issues in your country, but nobody complains. Like I said, there's been a lot of issue about, oh, we should allow people to drink beer, we should allow people to do this. Okay, they stop. It's okay. There will be no sale of alcohol during the World Cup. But that's just the headline news. There is an exemption whereby in certain areas you can actually go to buy beer or drink alcohol if you want to. I drink sometimes, but I wouldn't like to impose my own um, attitude or beliefs or ways of life on someone else. So, if it's another country whereby people smoke marijuana on the street, I think going to say, okay, now in France, I'm not just, actually, I shouldn't just keep on referring to France. Maybe in Britain, oh, we should allow people to smoke on the street also because we are coming. You should allow us to do whatever we want to do. No, I'm sorry. You should respect the rules, the culture of the country you are going into. In fact, that's part of having the World Cup in different parts of the world, to see the different cultures, the values in different parts of the world. Not bringing your values into another country. It's like going on holiday and wanting your holiday venue or destination to be exactly the same as home. What's the whole point in going on holiday? You might as well stay at home. And there were some wrong beliefs or assumptions that there'll be very the ticket sales are poor, but apparently 97% of the tickets are already sold, despite the boycott from some of these so-called countries or the mothers and fathers of morality or the mothers and fathers of immoralities. Okay. Um, you see, this idea of um, removing some countries from playing in a World Cup or football is not a good idea. I think it's against the rule of the spirit of sport as well. You can, yeah, okay, you want to remove Russia. Why? What do you have to remove Belarus from? Why? Even Israel play Iran in, I think it was in 1970 something. They play Iran, and even Iran and Iraq, they were not completely exempt or expelled from the World Cup simply because they were fighting each other, killing each other when there was Iran-Iraq war. So how come now we have a war or conflict in Europe? You have to expel one side. You have to be the judge. Hmm? And that's even the reason why um, a country could be so bold as to say a country should be expelled from the World Cup simply because they support the other side they are fighting with. What about the people that were supporting them? If that's the case, fine. Then every country that supports any side in a war should be expelled, which means all these European countries should be expelled. But they will not because you know what? They control the world. That's the fact. The world economy, but mind you, everything's been controlled by them. But no empires last forever. Sooner or later, it will be the case. Those that you are overlooking, you overlook will soon overtake you. It's like a race. Keep on running. The people coming behind you, at some stage will overtake you, whether you like it or not. You cannot always win the race or be ahead of the pack forever. There comes a time others will overtake and take the lead. Anyway, I think I've ranted off enough. And 1989, 1993, 1994 also, there was a game between Iran and Iraq. And in the 80s, they were even still fighting each other. Anyway, like I said, let me round this video up. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button. Bless. Take care. Have a good day.